Flexibility versus mobility. Most people confuse them and think they're the same thing, or they're really go hand in hand. They kind of do, but they are significantly different. Pretty much, flexibility is the passive range of motion. The most common example that we use is my finger is flexible to here, right? That's my flexibility of my index finger. My mobility is how far I could actually move my finger. Hamstrings. My flexibility would be bending over and touching my toes. Stretching out my hamstrings. That's flexibility. Mobility is when I lay flat on my back and try to raise my leg up. How far can it go? So those are the biggest differences between the two. Mobility is all about joint movement. Flexibility has the muscles, because you're stretching and all that stuff. Flexibility, like I said, it's the ability to lengthen your muscles, to stretch them around a joint. Now, there's obviously muscles, tendons, ligaments, fascia, all that stuff involved in this. But without drawn out words, we're just going to say muscle. So like I said, stretching your hamstring, right? There's other things involved, but we're just going to say stretching hamstrings. That bending forward of the stretch is your flexibility. The focus is, the length of the muscle and the surrounding tissues. Again, I'm repeating myself. Flexibility is very, very important. It's good for preventing injury as you're moving, and it's also good for posture and all those related things. Now, mobility, like I said before, it's the body's ability to move around a joint. It's what we call active range of motion. So flexibility is passive, where we're pushing into a stretch. Mobility is the active, where you're just moving within that range of motion, right? Is the range going to be the same? No, it's probably not for most people. Excuse me. It's the ability to act. And by the way, the biggest thing here is, and I'm very big on this, is your body's ability to control that movement throughout the motion. So it's not just like throwing your leg up, when you're laying flat on your back and you're doing a straight-legged raise to check your mobility. It's not just like winding up and throwing it up. Okay, it's under control, where we lift up as far as we could possibly go and bring it back down under control, right? Very big thing. It's not even while you're laying down, it's if you're standing. How many people can bend over and touch the floor, in a hamstring stretch, could leg curl a lot, can deadlift a lot, but when you're standing straight, can you actually lift your leg straight up, form a 90-degree with your legs? Not a lot of people can do that. So that's mobility, is your body's ability to move through a range of motion under control, without forcing it, without pushing it. And that includes using momentum or using any dynamic movements. It has a lot to do with muscle strength and coordination. So that's where one of the bigger differences is. Now, it's important. Is mobility important? Yes, very, very, very important. It's how we move. So it really determines on how well your body's going to move. Now, active and passive, because we have mobility's active and flexibility's passive. There's strength and control involved with mobility, right? I said that. Mobility requires strength, stability, and motor control. So if you've seen any of my other videos, motor control with the neural adaptations and its firing sequence. These are everything's together here. So mobility needs strength, stability, motor control, while flexibility you can get flexibility without these elements because you're physically pushing yourself into that position. Excuse me. Flexibility is a component of mobility, but here's a very important thing. Having good flexibility does not guarantee good mobility. Let me say that again. Having good flexibility doesn't guarantee good mobility. Alrighty? So you pretty much need flexibility to have the potential for good mobility, but you also need strength and control to move throughout that range of motion to have good mobility, right? Now, just to build on that, someone might be very flexible. You could sit there and somebody could take their leg and put it behind their head, right? Very flexible, doesn't hurt, all that stuff. So you can have, flexible muscles, tendons, and the joints, there's no restriction there. But that doesn't mean they're going to be able to freely move within that motion, right? Usually, they're going to lack one of four, if not most of. That's muscle coordination. Their body just can't get the appropriate muscles to move to get that full range. Balance, muscle balance, not standing still balance. There's one's pulling more than the other, so there's going to be a limit in the motion. Your posture. If your posture is completely, off kilter, muscles are going to pull in different angles than they normally would in the golden ratio, perfect posture that we would so like to have, but almost impossible to get. And then just overall strength. If you lack the muscle strength to move a limb through, or actually more a joint through its full range of motion, you're not going to be able to move it, period. So it's, you're not going to get anywhere. I shouldn't say move it, period. You're not going to get the desired outcome that you're looking for. So you could be highly flexible with muscles, ligaments, tendons, and the joint can have no restrictions. But that doesn't mean you're going to have good mobility because you're either lacking the muscle coordination, the muscle balance, the posture alignment, or the overall strength to do so. One of those four or all four. So we run across people who may have this, and then we'll work on it piece by piece, hopefully putting it together to get where we need to go. And like I've said in other videos, if we could strengthen muscles in their shortest position, put it through a full range of motion, and then strengthen that muscle while it's in its most vulnerable position, the body will adapt and hopefully we'll be able to gain more flexibility and more mobility. So that works.